In 1827, they decided to build Scotland's most unapologetically grand palace, right here. They called it a colossal failure of ambition. And today, these handsome gates lead to precisely nothing. So, £500,000 palace just vanished? The question is, who loses that kind of money, and why? To find that answer, you always start with the River Tay. It's the river that created the estate's fortune, and one suspects it will outlive everything that owners ever built on its banks. It's winter, so the Tay is almost bursting, looking rather fed up with the whole arrangement. This is where Hazel decided to pose dramatically, despite my urgent suggestion that the water was far too cold for theatrics. The Tay gave Murthly its incredible wealth, and occasionally took it all back with a catastrophic flood. A fair transaction, really. The trail winds inland through woods older than most European dynasties. Everything here looks like it's waiting patiently for a ghost to appear. Even Hazel seems thoughtful. This sits between the Tay and Birnam Hill. Yes, that one. The one Shakespeare used to justify a murder. No forests moving today, fortunately, though the wind is certainly giving it a good go. This empty parkland is where the palace stood, built for one single necessary reason: to spectacularly outshine Taymouth Castle. Because nothing screams restraint and good financial sense quite like a spectacular game of architectural one-upmanship. It was never quite finished, never lived in, and finally demolished to avoid the crushing tax bill. A 19th century grand designs episode that ended exactly as you'd expect. Then came along the next owner, Sir William Drummond Stewart, the so-called Wild Laird, who decided Perthshire needed buffalo. Stewart returned from the American West, having decided one must always bring home a souvenir. He arrived with a personal bison herd, exotic trees, and 2 understandably bewildered Native Americans. His attempt at being a Scottish cowboy was certainly noted by the neighbours. The great adventure ended abruptly, like most extravagant schemes. The incredible arboretum he planted still towers above us, giant redwoods and Douglas firs that simply outlived his vanity. Murthly's story doesn't end in the folly of grandeur, but in the quiet of endurance. The chapel and the old castle survived by simply avoiding ambition. Everything else was quietly reclaimed by nature. By the forest, the river, and what can only assume was a brief return to good sense. Murthly isn't about what stood tallest, but what refused to fall. If you enjoyed Scotland's grandest mistakes and its rather stubborn hidden histories, click subscribe now. There's plenty more fascinating ruins where that came from.